Hello there, fellow cultists. This is DM Nell, and I am back with another Shadow of the Demon Lord talk episode. This is episode number 77, and today we are talking about how you can make your game an advanced Shadow of the Demon Lord game. But before I do that, a little business to take care of, the business being the proliferation of the Shadow of the Demon Lord game through our social media network. And what the hell am I talking about? Basically, using this community to spread the word of Shadow of the Demon Lord and how fucking awesome a game it is. And you would be amazed at how many people out there are not even aware that this game exists. So I'm using this platform on YouTube to try to appeal to those who are doing YouTube searches, that is, if I can speak properly, to find alternatives for their role-playing game of choice. I would say most people play some version of Dungeons and Dragons, whether it be D&D 5e or whether it be Pathfinder or something along those lines. At some point, people start looking for alternatives. Once they start getting a little bit, just kind of tired of the same old, even if just for a momentary diversion. And so I want to be there when these folks start doing Google searches and YouTube searches for some alternatives so that Shadow of the Demon Lord will turn up in that search. So I need your help in doing that by having you all subscribe to my channel. My YouTube channel is not huge. I have a good number of subscribers, but I could use more. And the more subscribers I have, the better chance that my videos are going to be seen. So if you're watching my videos and you find them somewhat enjoyable, then I would ask that you hit the subscribe button and become a yeah, like that. Become a subscriber. It's free, of course. I don't ask anybody for any money. I don't have a Patreon. I don't do this for the money. I do this for the community. And so all I need from you all is to, give me some interaction with your subscription, with hitting the like button, with leaving comments and things like that. All those things help my videos become more prominent when people do searches for things like Shadow of the Demon Lord and D&D alternatives. So that's it for the business side. Push that over and let's talk about some Shadow of the Demon Lord. All right, so I was on a road trip this last weekend and had a lot of time to think, and I was thinking about how Shadow of the Demon Lord, the core rule book, is basically the basic version of the game. Not that that's a bad thing. It is an excellent game as is. It is, however, a basic version of the game. And I was thinking how other games, particularly games like Dungeons and Dragons, started off with a basic version and then went to more advanced versions, whether you're talking about the advanced hardcover Advanced Dungeons and Dragons books, starting with first edition, then going to second and third and so forth. Or if you're talking about like the Red Box or the the basic, expert, master, or not master, or is it the master? Yeah, Master and Immortals, BCMI, I think is what they refer to those as. But anyway, all those games started off with a simplified version of the game, but then added complexity to the game in order to add more depth, more rules, more realism, if you want to call it that. So I was thinking, how could this be done with Shadow of the Demon Lord? And then it really just kind of struck me that all the ingredients have already been provided by Schwalb Entertainment. It's just a matter of putting them all together. And so that's what this video is, putting an advanced Shadow of the Demon Lord game system together, utilizing all of the supplements that have already been provided by Schwalb Entertainment. So we can do this with, I believe, 8 steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 steps. So the first step is with this supplement right here, Battle Scars. Now, I talked about this way back in one of my earlier videos when I was talking about the house rules I was using for my game at the time. And this particular supplement is really good for adding a layer of depth to combat and upping the danger factor in combat as well. Battle Scars provides rules for lasting injuries. You can go through a combat in the basic game and basically essentially just lose or take damage without really having anything lasting come from it. But when you incorporate injuries into the game, you're using this supplement, you are now risking the possibility of having lasting injuries. So the supplement has the rules for doing that, and I'm not going to go through it all. But some of the things that you'll find in here are there's injuries table that determines what type of injury you have acquired when you are determining your injury. And to actually determine an injury, you first have to sustain a significant amount of damage to do that. So whenever you take damage and become injured or incapacitated as a result, you roll a d20 plus half your group level. If the total of the roll is 10 or higher, there is no additional effect. However, if the total roll is less than 10, make a fate roll and find the number rolled on the injury fate table below. So you can roll a 1, which is a major injury. You can roll 2 to 5, which is a minor injury, or you can roll a 6, which is a near miss and nothing worse comes of it. But if you roll a major or minor injury, then you have to determine what those major and minor injuries are. So for a major injury, you'd roll 4d6 and consult the injury table down here. So 46 gives you the opportunity to roll anything between 4 and 24. And so this table goes from 4 to 24. If you roll 24, you sustain a catastrophic injury. 23 is a horrific injury. 22 is comatose. So if you're rolling 46, most likely you're going to land in the probably middle section here most of the time. So you're going to sustain anything from a minor injury to a bleeding injury to being maimed for the most part. But you do have the opportunity to gain some pretty bad lasting injuries. So that's really what the supplement is. And it goes into detail of what sort of things can happen to you. You know, you can lose a limb. You could be maimed, sustain a painful injury, staggering injury, traumatic injury, in which you gain insanity from. You have scars, and it tells you where you could, where the scar could be. You know, nobody wants a buttock scar. Nobody wants that, but it's there. Nobody wants a groin injury for sure, but you know, it is there, and you could sustain one. So that is what this supplement is. It's a wonderful supplement, and this is the first way that you can make your Shadow of the Demon Lord game more advanced. All right, moving on. The next way is through these next two supplements, Unhinge the Mind and Frayed Ends. Now, I talked about these two supplements in a recent video, so I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but what these two supplements do is they, again, provide expanded rules for insanity. So insanity is one of those elements of the game that really set it apart from things like Dungeons and Dragons and other similar games. Now, of course, D&D does have injury rules in this Dungeon Master's Guide. They're optional rules. But in Shadow of the Demon Lord, injuries, insanity is kind of baked into the system. It's really a core part of the rules, and this just expands upon that, making it more more detailed. So this supplement, as well as the Frayed Ends, which provides a way to mitigate insanity with quirks, and a bunch of tables for various quirks, really expands the rules that were originally provided in the core rulebook, and a great way to make your game more advanced. The next way is via the Price of Evil supplement. And this supplement I covered very recently in a video, and this is an expansion of the corruption rules. Now, the corruption rules, again, are what set this game apart from other game systems. And the corruption rules in the core rulebook, they are okay, but you're probably not going to interact with corruption as much using the core rules as you would using these expanded rules. So the Price of Evil is definitely a supplement that I would recommend that you incorporate into your advanced Shadow the Demon Lord game. Now the next one, hello. Okay, there we go. Is the Forbidden Rules supplement. So I've talked about Forbidden Rules in a few of my videos. Still one of my favorite supplements, but this book is basically a rule or a book full of alternative rules that were tried out by Schwalb during his playtesting phase, but ultimately discarded for one reason or another, and most of the time it was due to the complexity of the rule. So what Robert Schwalb was trying to accomplish with the core rule book is to create a game that had some complexity to it, but was simple enough to run when you've had a few beers in you. And he succeeded in that regard, but he also discarded some pretty good rules just because they were a little bit more complex than what he wanted to incorporate in the game. So if you want to make your game advanced, this is a great place to start looking for some of those alternative rules. So you have rules like, and again, he touches on corruption and fortune points, which we'll talk about fortune here in a second. But there's also rules for damage reducing armor, alternative wound system, a simplified version of death and dying, the death and dying rules, excuse me, a variant healing system. So lots of different rules that you can incorporate into your game to make it more advanced. But the one thing I would definitely point you at in this book is the downtime rules. Now, the downtime rules allow you to have something happen in between game sessions. So let's say you finish the novice tier and your expert tier starts your group at 3rd level, but there's going to be some time in between so that those characters can pick up their new expert path and have some logical way of explaining why they all of a sudden have these new abilities. And so the downtime associated with going from one tier to the next usually is kind of hand-waved by a lot of groups. Some groups actually go into the role-playing aspect of that and talk through what happened during that time frame. But to simplify matters, you have downtime tables in the supplement that allow you to roll and determine what happened during your downtime. So once you go into the tables here, you can see that you have various things that could happen. You could die during your downtime. You could have a major setback. You could have a minor setback. You could find work and earn some money. You could have a minor windfall. You could have a major windfall, or some strange event could occur. So these are all things that could happen potentially during downtime, and it helps fill that gap in between your game sessions. So I definitely recommend the downtime tables to help make your game more advanced. All right, so let's talk about fortune now. So I talked about fortune in a recent video as well, and I went to the Schwalb Entertainment website to show you the article that had been published there. Now, this hasn't actually been produced as a supplement per se, but this is a free PDF on the Schwalb Entertainment website. So I went ahead and downloaded the PDF, and that's what I'm showing you right now. And this PDF has the basic rules for using fortune, but it also expands on those rules by providing you some alternative ways of using your fortune points. So you've got this little graphic here also to help you remember these things. So the basic way of using fortune is through creating a success by turning a D20 failure into a success, granting boons by granting somebody else, another creature, 2 boons, or by rolling high, changing any d6 result to a 6. So those are the normal ways that you would handle using your fortune. Now, this supplement provides several other ways. You can alter reality, actually altering the narrative of the story in some minor way to kind of shift the flow of the narrative. Then you've got control madness. When you're going mad, you may have a revelation to help stall or forestall that madness. Then you have improved magic. You can sacrifice 1 spell to cast another. Imposing banes. You can impose 2 banes on another creature, refusing a mark of darkness. So if you're in danger of gaining a mark of darkness, you can spend your fortune point to say, not today. And then you can remove an affliction. Using your fortune, you can roll low, changing any d6 result to a 1, or you can stay Death's Hand, and you can ignore the instant death rule. So if you take damage equal to your health, normally that's instant death, you're gone. So you can use your fortune to avoid that from happening. All of these are explained in the supplement in a significant amount of detail, and so this is a great way to make your Shadow the Demon Lord game more advanced. So the next ways can be found in the Demon Lord Companions book, or the Demon Lord's Companion books. So there's the original one, and then there's Demon Lord Companion 2. And what I'm going to point you to here are the story complications. So these 2 supplements have story complications that allow you to add some additional depth to your player characters. So by adding a story complication, this actually adds some kind of lasting story item to your characters, so that it carries into the campaign. You know, it could be resolved in your campaign, or it could carry on through the whole campaign, just depending on the complication. So let's just look at the first one here, the addicted story complication. Your addiction has power over you to the point that you must feed it to survive. The GM decides what you're addicted to, choosing something that costs you no more than 1 copper per day to maintain, such as booze, a common drug, or tobacco. So when you have the addicted story complication, you have to, well, let me just read it here. It says, when you complete a rest without having fed your addiction at least once during the previous day, you must get a success on a strength challenge roll with 1 bane plus 1 bane for each day you've gone without after the first, or become fatigued. If you're already fatigued this way, increase the number of banes from being fatigued by 1. After 5 consecutive successes, you lose the story complication. So you can get over your addiction, but it takes 5 consecutive successes in order to do so. So there you go. You can have various different types of complications, such as cursed, doomed, haunted, mad, maimed. You start the game maimed, plagued, or possessed. So all those would be very interesting to see how they manifest in the role-playing from your player characters. So those are the ones that are available in the Demon Lord's Companion. Now in the Demon Lord Companion 2, they provide even more story complications, and you have the additional ones of engraved, hunted, inbred. Yes, you can start the game off as an inbred local yokel, I guess. Trusted, rivalry, spell scarred, or splintered. So these are pretty cool. I like the concept of them. I've not actually incorporated them into a game as of yet, but I plan on doing so in my next campaign, because my next campaign is going to be an advanced Shadow the Demon Lord campaign. All right, so that's story complications. So the next thing I would point you to would be group themes, which are also in the Demon Lord's Companion 2. And group themes are, well, let me just read what they say here. This chapter introduces a concept of group themes. Each theme acts as a unifying factor that helps knit the characters into a group and provide them with a tangible benefit for staying together. So sometimes, when we're playing role-playing games, we don't really spend a whole lot of time thinking why this group of people that obviously can't get along together and that really have nothing in common stay together. Why would they? In a movie, they would break apart in the very first scene because they have nothing in common whatsoever. But in role-playing games, they tend to stay together. Why is that? Well, sometimes you can come up with a story-related reason, but other times we just kind of hand-wave and don't really bother with it. Group themes are a great way to explain why your group stays together. There is definitely a benefit in having people with a unified purpose sticking together and having a benefit for them sticking together. So let's take a look at one of these. And there are 20 in this supplement to choose from. But you could have, say, bold explorers. So your group theme is bold explorers. No horizon is too far away. No destination too dangerous to deter a group of bold explorers from forging ahead into the unknown. Drawn together by a shared love of travel and curiosity about the wider world, bold explorers are most comfortable when they are on the road or blazing trails into unexplored regions. These groups might cross the Shield Mountains to explore the endless steppe, press into the desolation to find lost treasures, or scale the Dragon Mount that looms over Blotland to see what lies beyond those forbidding peaks. So the benefit that these bold explorers would gain is called Trailblazers. And at the start of each adventure, your group replenishes its pool of talent, which is measured in tokens. You have a number of tokens in the pool equal to 3 plus half your group's level. Whenever a member of the group would make a perception challenge roll or a challenge roll to climb, jump, or swim, that member can expend any number of tokens from the pool to make the roll with a number of boons equal to the tokens spent. In addition, a member of the group can use an action to expend a token from the pool to remove the fatigue affliction. So that is awesome. You have a group of explorers and all of you can draw from this pool, limited number of times in an adventure, of course, but you still have it there if you need it to really make that climb check, or to really make that jump across a chasm check, or to really make that perception check to avoid being ambushed by a group of Yeti that are on the pass ahead of you. So group themes are a great way to not only just add a unifying effect to your team, but also to provide you a benefit for doing so. All right, so that is another way of making your game advanced. And the final way I'm going to point out is found in Occult Philosophy. Now, this book here, which I've yet to talk about in a video in any great at any great length, but this is a great supplement simply because it has a shit ton of spells, and it really expands the spell list from the core rule book by not only adding more rank 1 through 5 spells, but also by adding rank 6 through 10 spells for every tradition that's available. So you not only expand the spells that are available to the player characters, but you also provide a bunch of spells that aren't available to the player characters that you can throw in as either a quest objective or as a means of creating a story, or something along those lines. But you have a bunch of new spells. Over 800 spells are in Occult Philosophy. So, but that's not the reason I'm pointing you to this book. The reason I'm pointing you to this book is actually for Legendary Paths. Now, Legendary Paths are found at the back of the book on page 185, and the concept of the legendary path was actually originally in the Forbidden Rules supplement, but it's kind of codified here in Occult Philosophy. It's now called a legendary path, and with this supplement, you can take your campaign past 10th level. Now, 10th level is typically the stopping point of most Shadow of the Demon Lord campaigns, because there are no more tiers beyond 10th level. You max out the master path at 10th level. But by adding a legendary path, you can now expand almost indefinitely past 10th level. And I say almost because there is a limit, because there's only so many legendary talents that you can take. But some of them you can take multiple times. So you could, for all intents and purposes, keep your campaign going. Now, the problem with that is that your characters are going to be so powerful eventually that there's not going to be anything in the game that's going to challenge them. And that's a risk you run. I mean, characters at 10th level are already pretty fucking powerful. But if you really, really want to throw those demon princes or those monsters from the not Terrible Beauty, but the Exquisite Agony supplement, the Hell one that has, super powerful monsters in there, you can do so by taking your campaign, a couple levels past 10th level, letting your players accumulate a few legendary talents, and they should be able to handle an attack by a demon prince, or perhaps from one of the disciples of the Witch King, all of whom have difficulty of 1,000. So yeah, legendary paths are a great way to literally crank your campaign up to 11. So those are my recommendations for how to make your game an advanced Shadow of the Demon Lord game. So that's all I got for today. I appreciate your reviews as always. If you would please do me the favor of give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, leave me some comments, and once again, get that interaction going with the video. I would once again greatly appreciate it. So with that, I leave you once again with a hearty hail to the Demon Lord as I try to figure out how to close out this video. And the button's over here somewhere.